toe. Ons gaan C-point toe. Die mensen in C-point, hulle screen is een studie. We go, kunnen we een big show. Stand man, goed te staan. Dis jou show, jy moet saamkom. Jy moet saamkom. Kom staan man, ek moet jou grootste kom op. Wat betekent die standing was? Right in, 3, 4, 10. Right. Ek het nie na gratis skool toe gegaan, nie maak ek hier toe. Man. Check him in. How did that number of Gigi D'Agostino go? Baby, choo, pain, bang, bang.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of The Price of Fame. This is episode 11, season 2. Tonight's guest, my name is Lunga Tshuka, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be your host. Tonight's guest, ladies and gents, started out as a teacher, but quickly transformed into a hard-working comedian, touring the country, being featured in movies, also having his comedy specials on Showmax and DSTV Catch Up. And he's also become a Good Up FM breakfast sport presenter. But tonight, we get to learn about his story, about his journey to success. So ladies and gents, please welcome to the screen the very funny and talented, hardworking mother as I know him. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the screen, Dalin Oliver.
Pow, 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 pow.
Huyaka, huyaka.
Blah,
Burn it. Pull it.
blah, blah.
Yes, I love your shirt, by the way. I love it.
Thank you for sticking to the terms and conditions of this interview. You must tell me I have a nice shirt on. That's the only thing.
Of course. I have to make you feel comfortable so I can keep you here. Thank you so much, bro. Thank you for joining, man. It's truly an honor to have you on the show, man. We've basically known each other for most of our comedy career.
Yes.
We've shared the stage many times together, and you've really made a good success for yourself, bro. And I'd like to commend you on that. Just say that a lot of people look up to you, and there's a lot of good talks about you and the move that you make. Yeah, amongst the comedians and a lot of people that admire you as well. So a lot of respect that you've grown since the first time I met you.
Thank you. Listen, when you introed me, I was waiting for that part when you said my bra, Dalin Oliver. I just wanted you to say that I'm your bra. Like all those choppies and the titles, I'm like, my friend. But thank you. Thank you for the kind words.
Yo, this is my bra, ladies and gents. This is really my bra. Yes. We were comedy buddies. When I started, you were probably 2 years ahead of me in the game, right? And yeah, we've always shared the stage, and whenever we could give each other positive tips, you were always there for me. So and he gave me some cool opportunities as well. So yeah, ladies and gents, he's a true friend, not just saying that.
Thank you. No, real talk, bro. I think especially with stand-up comedy, once you, and I'm not saying this in a bad space because death is part of comedy. All of us die as we work out new material. Once you die on the same stage as someone, and once you see what it's like for people not to laugh at you, there's just a bond that's formed that no one can take away. You were in the room when no one laughed, and I drove home listening to love songs. You know that feeling. 60 kilometers on the highway. So respect to you for doing what you're doing, Lunga. You're extremely talented, man. You and Ambrose are in that same space where you like that quadruple threat: singers, dancers, b-boys, stand-ups, actors. Alles, my bro. That's quite.
I mean, look, we just incorporate what we've been learning since the things that we got involved in since high school, with dancing and everything and the acting and all of that. But you mentioned something now that's super interesting, and I would just want you to describe quickly for those who have no idea what is it like to actually die on the stage. What do we go through in our mind and emotionally when we die on stage? Because people have this impression that we are so confident and what we do is so easy. When we die, we just take it move on, tomorrow's another day. Can you describe to people what goes through a typical mind of a comedian when they are dying on stage?
I'm going to pause it there in real time because my laptop is going to die if I don't put in my battery. I was wondering the whole time, why? Something's not right here. Something isn't right. And I'm gonna give me a second. I'm wearing a shorts because it's lockdown. Okay, I'll shut.
Okay.
This is my life. This is the life of a bachelor. You always think things are right, but then it's not right. That's why when I leave home, I check the stove 32 times because my biggest fear is that I'm gonna burn the whole building down for leaving the stove on.
That's me.
Yeah.
That's me. Honestly. All right. Well, you go get your charger. I'll take a sip of my tea.
This is why you see it was plugged in. Just
Why'd you unplug it?
it wasn't plugged in properly. Here we go. Here we go. It's working.
I
Oh,
think
wait.
your screen just shifted a bit now. You just have to make it a bit centered.
Okay, how much we do it? There.
Other side.
I see.
Other side. No, shift to the other side.
There.
You're shifting to the wrong side.
There.
Okay, a little more. Perfect. That should be good.
Let's just double check. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, word, Lunga. What the time? I'm sorry. With chest there.
It's
So,
so good.
comedian. There we go. We sent it now. Let's be professional, Dalin. This is a hardworking man. Has an amazing podcast. Yeah.
I love
Listen, your question, dying on stage. You know what, when you start out as a comedian, I don't think you're a comedian even. It took me a while to call myself an actual comedian. When you start, I think you're more infatuated with the idea of being a comic. You see people be on stage, and then you somehow call yourself a comedian. But the more you gig and the more you figure out the space, you're like, hey, my bro, I'm not a comedian yet. I've got so much to learn. So
Yeah.
that's when you realize that death becomes part of comedy. And I mean, I'm from Retreat, right? So when we were starting, my first gig was at Joker's Comedy Club. It was above the Lincoln Tavern in Athlone. So that was awesome, man. So when I say that, I mean, it's a predominantly colored audience. So all the isms, all the cultural references that you're going to speak about, they'll get, right? But then you go play at Zula at the time in Long Street, Purple Turtle. And then you at OBS in Armchair and OBS Cafe. And that's a very touristy market. There's a lot of students there. There's a lot of out-of-towners, different age groups, from youngsters right through until the 30, 40, 50-year-old market. And then you, for lack of a better word, you die on your gut, my bro, because that people don't know where's Retreat. You can't make references to the M5 and to growing up in a colored area or colored community. So then the death is extremely heartbreaking, because in your mind, this is supposed to be the funniest thing in the world. And why they're not laughing? My career is ending. I don't deserve to be a stand-up comedian. But then with growth and playing to audiences from all backgrounds, from different spaces, culturally, racially, in terms of the country and different provinces, you realize, okay, I can't just play to that community. If you want to, that's fine, but that's what I didn't want to. So I wanted to play to a broader audience. And within that, more death comes, but with the death comes growth. I found personally, I can't speak for others' journey, but within the death, you start figuring out what's funny, why it's not funny. And we were very fortunate in Cape Town. I mean, I started in 2010, so about 12 years now. And that's still nothing compared to bigger picture. I mean, the first generation comics are doing it 20 plus years, right? And then the guys outside of SA are doing it for 40, 30 years, So you just start growing and growing and growing in different spaces. But what happens is you start realizing the magic of death. And now it's part of it, because if you want to write a new show, my bro, you have got to go up there, do it fresh, commit to it, and then jump on at different gigs. And club comedy it's the core function of stand-up. Like we can't neglect it. A lot of the experience and pros who paved the way for us, they'll always refer to it as the gym, because you've got to be there. You've got to be on. Maybe you know what it's like. The stage for me now, this comedy must never feel unfamiliar to me. Like the stage must never feel foreign. And if it does feel foreign, it's because I've been neglecting my craft and I haven't been going to gym. For me, I played cricket growing up, so I haven't been to cricket nets. If I haven't been to cricket nets, my plaats can escape. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
what it is. And death is part of it. Enjoy it, welcome it, but that comes with time and experience. Don't get me wrong, it still hurts properly when you're dying,
Yeah.
but I'm there for it. I like it. Not saying I want to
Like
die all the time.
yeah, I mean, you want to be successful in the evening, you want to make people laugh, because you came there with jokes and you want them to
Yep.
laugh and you want them to have a good time. You don't want to be like the one who's like, yeah, we didn't bring it for the peeps. And I
Nah.
can relate so much with what you said, your experience, because I also, like, my material, my first few material that I wrote about was about me growing up as a black kid in Mitchell's Plain. Same like
Yeah.
you said, with all slang and all of these and the references, colored references, and then going to street. Yeah, and then going to Long Street and then like foreigners, dude. And no one catches the jokes, And like you
Yeah.
said, you like very long time, these jokes were hot, you believed in
Yeah.
them, you had a fire, and
Yeah.
then none of it
I'm murdered
works.
in
And
Mitchell's
then,
Plain. I'm murdered in Mitchell's Plain.
yeah, yeah,
You're telling
yeah.
yourself that. Yeah.
You're like, oh, word, and that really taught me also to be a bit more general, and then I was like, okay, so then what do I write about?
Yeah.
And I think paying attention to Chris Rock and Chris Tucker, sorry, paying attention to Kevin Hart, where
Yeah.
they write about their lives, write about things that
Yeah.
are easily relatable,
Yeah.
relationships, traveling, those kind of things.
Mm.
So I was like, okay, let me change my focus to that, and there,
But
you survive a bit more.
yeah. But it's not a bad thing. Like, this is always such a big conversation because comedy it's identity driven. It's directly linked to you as the performer. So obviously we're going to speak about our cultural experiences growing up in Mitchell's Plain
Yes,
and growing up in retreat. Like, it's not something you can run away from. It's something that you embody, that makes you as a person. It shaped you as a youngster, and then as an adult, as you started seeing more spaces, traveling a bit more in Cape Town, traveling a bit more in South Africa, you start seeing things differently. But at the core, that's your upbringing. So obviously we're going to chat about it. It's just about how you learn to deal with the identity bits on stage and then start easing out of it. And especially for me as a colored lighty, we culturally it's so interesting. And I mean, I attended SP, which is a non-model C school. Then I went to Wymack Boys as well. So those two worlds, that was also something for me. So you wrote about the worlds that you were in. Nah, it was a real thing. Even looking
yeah,
back, I'm going, yo, identity wise, there was a lot at play, even though you weren't maybe as aware of it as possible when you were
yeah,
writing. But then you get older and start going, okay, I want to change my writing train of thought. I want to be
yeah,
able to write to people of the world, you know,
yeah,
but also not neglect my base, my audience, and my community in that same space. So when you're doing a show in Cape Town, you gooi 'n bietjie Cape Townisms. There's nothing,
yeah,
there's
yeah,
nothing
yeah.
wrong with that. It's
Absolutely.
so delicious. The Cape Town audience, woo, they are good, bruh. Someone knock my arm here. It's good. Mm.
I mean, out of your touring, and you've done comedy like in different parts of South Africa. Where have you felt the most comfortable or the most welcome doing your comedy?
Look, I don't mind where I perform, in terms of cities and audiences, but hometown love is a very special thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's something very, very, very special about Mother City love. We embrace our own really, really well, which is great. But that being
yeah,
said, we can also get very comfortable in Cape Town. So that's important. That's why I've always made sure that if I'm not traveling with my one man show, then it's with club gigs or vice versa.
yeah,
But always being aware that I can't just perform to a Cape Town audience, because long term that's not the only market that I want. I want to be playing to everyone from around the world, from around South
abs-
Africa. You know what I mean? But you
yeah,
have to start at home. Like, the main thing, and this is what I love. It's always the thing where you go, there's no such thing as hometown love, because if you're going anywhere right now, you speak everything into existence. Say you go on a world tour, you come back, Mother City show, lekker man. You just know they're just gonna be there because they've been following your journey through and through. You
yeah,
know what I mean? And that's the magical thing, because there's people from all over the country, with all of us who've been seeing us start from the get go. But when it's your brother, when it's your neighbors, when it's people who know you via, and then come 10, 20, 30 years later, and they still at those shows supporting you, for me, that's a very special thing because
Mm,
they've got so much consumption options. I trip about it a
yeah.
lot. I'm like, yo, why are you guys watching me? Why do you support me? You've got so many streaming platforms available. You've got so many amazing stand-up comedians, so many artists available that are not comics, across the board. But you choose to spend your hard-earned money and come to a show of mine. And for me, that's a big trip, brah. And that's why like small things are important. So
Yeah.
if I meet you and you're a stranger and you say away, and I'm like, yes, my bro, they look, they came to a show. I'm like, yo, thank you. Like I genuinely appreciate that. And I tried that. That's what I miss about COVID because pre-COVID you'd have shows and you take photos afterwards and you're chatting to people. We don't have that anymore. And especially in 2022, I want to be able to connect with people after a show just to be like, I sincerely appreciate your support because let's be honest, they don't have to.
Mm,
They can stay at home and stream something. So for them to come out and use their hard-earned money for laughs for
yes.
a local artist is such a genuine and sincere and humbling thing. So shout out to everybody who supports not only stand-up comedy but like all genres of artists, man. Especially now, as we recover from the pandemic. I speak long, nah? I'm sorry, long-winded.
No, I love it. I love it. I love it. We here for an hour.
Mm,
I love that you said that, and it's quite interesting that, from a comedian's perspective, that you prefer hometown. Because I've spoken to dancers, I've spoken to some DJs and actors, and they feel that going outside of home, rather maybe even overseas or Joburg, that's where they
mm,
feel that they're a lot more appreciated or seen, or that's where
mm.
they strive more in their careers as opposed to being hometown. So it's quite interesting that you said for comedy, it's a completely different story, coming back home and embracing your people, it actually gets you excited and feels like that's rather the best place to be.
Yeah, bro.
But
Look, don't get me wrong. I want to play all over. I want to play all over. But my hometown love, there's something
yeah,
special about it. Yeah.
no, no, no. I feel you, and it's also something that I also appreciate, especially like even if I'm playing in Mitchell's Plain, there's just something but more special about it, as opposed to
Yeah.
playing wherever else. But I want to get into something. The last time I saw you, we're speaking about traveling. The last time I saw you, physically, we were traveling. We were both on our way to Durban,
Yes.
and I
Yes.
have
How
to bring
funny.
it
How did
up
that gig
because
go?
I feel like no one's ever gonna believe me because you were there, so you can be here to validate it live.
Yeah.
But ladies and gentlemen, story time. So last year, I get a gig to MC, a corporate gig to MC in Durban. Cool. So I do my thing that I usually do before I go on. I have a beer before I go on onto the plane, and then I'm on the plane, and we get turbulence. Now, here's the thing, guys. I know I'm sure you've heard of from a lot of comedians. They all
You
speak
were
about
there.
turbulence, or people.
Yes. You were there.
Everybody's experienced turbulence.
You
Yes,
were
yes.
there. I
Everyone
almost died.
experienced turbulence, and everyone probably have like their own version of their turbulence experience, And I've experienced turbulence too, but this particular experience was, I don't know, it was life changing. And
Hey,
Dalin was
bro.
there too. And so, anyways, we in the plane, and the plane does now, like when you're driving, and then sometimes when you go over the road, and then it has that little dip, and then you feel, it feels like the food in your tummy just goes up for a bit. Now the plane was doing those kind of dips, but like hectic, where it actually felt like, and
My God.
I laugh because everyone who looks so, yeah, that's when the turbulence hit, and then everyone who looks so confident before that is all like just trying to keep their cool, and the pilot comes on and he says the most craziest thing, and he's like, ladies and gentlemen, we just hit some turbulence now. It's quite hectic, blah blah blah. Please put on your seatbelt sign and let's try to survive this. I was like, how can you end of live with let's try to survive this? And we're going through all of that people, and the woman in front of me, shame. She probably said like 30 Jesus, it's just, oh Jesus, oh
Yeah.
Jesus. Everyone is panicking. I'm also panicking. I'm sweating. I'm like fanning myself over there. The lady next to me, she's puking in the, the
Yeah.
the
That
brown
that
bag,
was the
brown paper
that was
bag.
the first time I saw someone actually my mock, for lack of a better word, my
Yes.
mock in a bag.
Yeah.
We were in my mind, we were gonna
Yes.
die. That was
Dude,
the
like
end.
I'm sitting there also thinking like I'm gonna die, but at the same time I'm like, no, I don't go out this way. I'm just telling myself, no, this is not how it ends. This is not how it ends.
I
And I'm
we
fighting myself. And then the captain comes on and he says something more crazy, as if we didn't experience enough. He's like, oh guys, so we missed the runway, so we're gonna have to do like a U-turn and come
go
and
back
fly
up.
again. And then we come meet the runway. And then we're already in the air, but we're going higher. And so people's like, ah.
We
It's,
went
it
up three times.
so it felt so uncomfortable. It
Yeah.
felt so uncomfortable. And like the plane was going higher and was turning and was doing turbulence, and we just want to get down. When everyone got down, the pilot's like, yo, thank you very much for flying. Well, everyone's like, we don't even want to hear it. We're walking. And then I see you come out, and I was like, bro, how was that experience for you?
My bro,
What
I
was it like from your point of view?
nah, I made my peace. I'm gonna die. I made my peace already, bruh. I was singing gospel numbers there. I closed my eyes. I'm like, vandag ga ek dood. Nah, bruh, like you can't explain it to people when we went up three times. Landed, almost went up. Landed, almost went up. Landed, almost went up, then went down. And we were a tiny plane as well. It was
Yes.
a tiny plane, which never made things easier. So in my mind, I went, okay, if we drop from here, we're all dead. It's deadlock. Because it was crosswinds. That's what it was called. So there was
Okay.
crosswinds. So
Yeah.
the plane was being knocked there, and then up, down, up, and doing that. Like when we got knocked, everyone was like, "This isn't normal turbulence.
Yes,
What's
yes.
yeah,
It's crazy. It's so
yeah,
crazy, you know. And I land, and that was my first time flying to Durban, so I've never experienced turbulence like that before. And I tell my sister about it, and she's like, "Ah, that's normal, you know. Flying to Durban
yeah"?
is always turbulence." I was like, "What?" I was like, "Do
Nah,
people
bruh,
go through
that
that
was
all the time?"
different. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
no,
was very different.
it was
And
extremely different.
the air hostess, this is so funny. The lady next to me is so the one over there diagonally. She's busy into a bag. Lady over
Yeah.
here is stressing, and the air hostess brings a bottle of water, and the air hostess told her, "Ma'am, please calm down. I've also never been in this situation before." And then I was just going, "Don't,
I've also
don't,
never what you.
don't tell
I've
us,
not trust you,
don't tell us that you don't know what's happening here, bruh.
dude.
Please,
Also, you
please."
made me laugh because you said that you were sitting next to a kid, you know, and the
I was
kid
next
was
to a
busy
lighty.
out. And then you busy telling him no, calm down. But you
Yeah,
also freaking out at the same time.
this boy was about 15. He was going home to his parents. I think he was at
Yeah.
boarding school or something. And I have to be the adult in my mind to be calm for him. When you hold
Oh,
onto your chair, you just hold onto your chair.
yeah.
Because whenever there's turbulence, I just hold onto my chair like this, and then I sit.
Yeah.
And then I just kept looking at him. Are you okay? Don't worry, we're gonna be fine. And then it was still like I don't know if it's because of the aircon or what, but there was still water, a bit of water that was leaking from the top. And then I was just
Hectic.
going, yeah, we're gonna die. Definitely. All of us. All of us. We are gonna
And you
die.
saw the hilarious. Brother, listen, this is hilarious. Look, we're halfway through the year, you know, and you've already done a lot for yourself, you know, and I'm sure opportunities have come to you as well. You know, we all say, you know, this year is my year, you know, and then we always tackle the year with some goals or whatever. What was your mindset for 2022?
Yeah. I'm just glad I can perform stand up again, honestly. Like, I'm very fortunate because I work in broadcasting. So, I'm a sports presenter, like your intro said. Thank you. I'm only saying this for context. So, we we worked at home for about 3 months, and then we were back in studio. So, in terms of a workspace compared to my fellow artists, I was very fortunate and blessed to have work during the
Yeah,
time. But I wasn't performing stand up. And as an artist, like my first love is stand up comedy. You know what your first love is. So when that
yeah,
gets taken away from you, I don't think anyone who is not a creative understands what that's like.
Yeah.
mentally and emotionally. It's a lot, bruh. It was a lot. I mean, there was a time where I was just like, I'll get back on the stage when I need to. I'm not gonna force anything. I was off social media for like 3 months. Facebook deleted my page for some reason. And it was like it wasn't a lot, but it was my comedy people of like 12 years. So it was like 15K, but it was people who followed me from the start. And I
Yeah.
hate the word follow, people who enjoyed my comedy from the start. So for me, I go, yo, that's a lot of community that I'm just losing. Now I'm not on stage. Facebook gave me
Yeah.
no reason as to why they deleted my page. I tried to
Mm.
contact them through all the channels, and people give you advice. I even tried to get hold of like the Africa manager, etc. Then I
Yeah.
eventually went, you know what, it's fine. Let's just delete it. I mean, not delete it. Let's just go off social media for a bit. No Insta, no Twitter, no TikTok, nothing. And that was good. And then after that, I went, okay, cool. The goal now is just to be back on stage. So if anything, what's the way forward? Just to keep being on stage and keep performing and keep being a comedian, because that will lead to whatever the next step is. I'm happy when I'm on stage and my brain is more creative off stage as well. I'm more switched
Yeah.
on. So being on stage is the priority because we comedy unfit. So even like gigging if you can every night, which is very difficult in Cape Town because gigs are slowly but surely rebuilding itself on the club circuit. But we tired, me bro. Our bodies don't know how to cope with the heavy schedules that we had
Yeah.
pre-COVID. So we teaching ourselves how to do those late nights, those early mornings, those long days, those physically energy demanding gigs, etc., etc. And you also don't want to turn down spaces for work or possible growth within your work. So you say yes, but just don't neglect yourself within that. So as much as I want to be on stage, I also want to make sure, cool. I've always run. I've loved running. I just like recently I post stuff on social media. One of my chummies were like, "I see you running." I'm like, "No, but I've been running since like forever." It's just I'm just sharing that part with
Yeah.
social media people now. But that's my breakaway. So if it's a run or a walk in the mountains or a walk near the ocean, that's important for me to have like a good
Yeah.
balance with work. Like I sound a bitchy mal, but you have to.
No, no,
You
no.
have to. Don't neglect yourself going into post-COVID life, 2022 and beyond, with a rat race mentality where you neglect yourself. Because I think a lot of us had time to reflect and see how important it is to manage our health, to manage our well-being, to
Yeah.
manage our overall mental space. So to be on stage and not neglect those facets, it's very important for me.
Yeah.
And it's tough, but there's always time. There's never not time. Less excuses and more actions. Mm.
No, absolutely. And look, I mentioned in your intro, and this is also something that you joked about. I think it was your first one-man show. You came, you taught, and you left. So you
Yes,
started out as a teacher at first,
yes,
and that was obviously something that probably your parents were happy with. Something that you're doing successful,
yeah.
government job. And then you're like, you know what? I want to
Medical
be
aid,
something.
medical aid.
Yeah. And you're like, I want to tell jokes, no medical aid, no benefits, no nothing.
Yeah,
Can you tell us about your journey? Was 2010 the first time it all sparked for you, or
yeah.
did the industry inspire you a lot earlier, or a lot sooner? Can you paint a picture of the journey of your comedy career?
For sure, man. Look, I've been very blessed, man. My parents have always supported me through and through with whatever I've done. And I always laugh because I tell them didn't really have to. Like as a kid of color, you know how it is. Um, we're encouraged to go find a job, a stable job, to go work, and then we get a pension, and then we retire, and you work hard for your family and your kids to make sure that they have access points. You know,
Yeah.
so growing up, I'm gonna give you full context. So growing up, my dream. Listen, here's the thing, man. If you played any sport, your dream was to play for Manchester United, the Proteas, the
Yes.
Springboks, whoever. So So for me, growing up, the goal and dream was to play for the Proteas, right? Obviously, I didn't get them, and I wouldn't change anything. I love stand-up comedy too much. So in 2010, that was my third year at university, right? So the idea was to finish my teacher's diploma and then go play club cricket in England, but go there with a teaching qualification because then I could be more employable that side
Okay.
and not just coach and play if I need to, but then also maybe go teach at the school, right? Because a lot of my
Yes.
friends did that after matric. They went to go play in England, but I had the opportunity to study, and given our country's history and the lack of opportunities for people of color pre 94, I was like, I have to do it. No excuses. Do it, right?
Yeah.
And then in third year, very pivotal year because in April, Good Hope had a campus DJ search. They were at UCT and then they were in the cafeteria looking for campus DJs. They came there over 2 days. We were sitting there busy laughing at all the brasses that were trying to enter. Like people were horrible. Oh, like, but my chummies, they were horrible, horrible.
Yeah.
And then I entered by chance. I won the UCT leg. I hadn't started comedy yet. I was a top 5 finalist, but didn't win, right? Then in November, October of that year, November, I was studying for finals. My majors was politics and history. So exciting. And then I was, yeah, I was bored studying for the politics exam. And I don't know how the thought was planted because prior to this, there was never any formal mention of I want to be a stand-up comedian one day. I want to pursue comedy. So what happened? I just started writing down gags. Just like at
Yeah.
12, 1 in the morning, I just started writing down. When I say gags, I mean things that I found funny. It's a thing of people think I'm white or colored. They think I'm Jewish because I got a confident nose. The Vin Diesel thing. I just started writing all these things down. I'm not even lying to you. The next morning, I wake up, Tomatani and Topi listening. I'm gonna be a stand-up comedian. My mom is like, just go write your exam. But okay, you can be a comedian. Just go write your exams. Then I told my brother, my friends from retreat, we're still friends today. I cherish them dearly. I think especially in today's life, if you have lifelong friends, it's a good thing. It's a healthy thing because with so many distractions with social media, people tend to neglect the realness of friendships. And then the evening, I told them, "Yeah, I'm gonna be a comedian." We used to, I'm in the cul-de-sac there by us called the Close. Started telling jokes there. They were like, "Okay, cool." Um, and then what happened was, uh, just it just became a thing. I told my friends at university, and then I started googling where's the spots in Cape Town. Christian Camp was still running Armchair, Ops
Yeah.
Cafe. Gino them, Rastam, his dear soul, rest in peace. He was running a few gigs, and then they all eventually put me on their lineups and gave me spaces and gave me opportunities. But Mumsy was still running Purple Turtle. But then Melody Chevlane, she was running Joker's Comedy Club,
Yeah.
and she gave me my first spot on the 26th, 27th of November, 2010, above the Lincoln Tavern. I almost thought comedy is just theater, nice red seats. No, bro, I was sitting on SAB Kussies, bro. 20 seats and then Langbiere Kussies. That's what was happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
Yes.
invited like 60 of my friends. They all my friends came through. Yeah, Kamfrach. I should not have invited them bigger picture, but I did about 4 minutes, 30 seconds. I had 5, time myself, and it was the best feeling in the world. It was the best feeling. Like I went home that night going, I'm gonna be a stand-up comedian. And I've been fortunate enough to still be in the industry 12 years later. Still growing, finding my voice, figuring out spaces, but just falling in love with the art more and more. I mean, you a stand-up, so you understand it. I try to explain to people how much we love this thing, and they don't get
Yeah.
it. I'm like, listen here, if you drive to Paul for free, to go play for free, and drive home, you're losing money. But
Yeah.
you there for that 5 minutes of stage time. You know the bigger picture. And we all have
Yeah.
this hope and this dream of what it is that we want out of the industry. But that magic of being on stage can't be put into words. And yeah, but I get excited when I think about stand-up comedy. My blood just escapes completely. So yeah, that was the build up too. And parents have always been supportive. Like when I started, they were at my shows, busy helping me with one-man shows. Yeah, in Cape Town, if they had to do the door for me, if my mommy was a teacher, so she had to write stuff for me, and helped me design a set. You must know you piece a set together.
Yeah, yeah,
You don't have
yeah.
money, so you must piece a set together, bruh. And yeah, they've been ridiculously supportive, and I'm very blessed with that because it could have been different. They could have said no, we don't support you. You have to go teach. So I taught. I only taught for 5 months. That's the mad thing. So what happened was, um, I went. I did two teaching practicals, one at SP and at Wyoming Boys, at both the schools I went to. I actually went to go to practicals there with the idea of writing a show about it because I knew I'm gonna give stand-up comedy a chance. I just didn't know when. But then and this is like for the youngsters in any creative space, ask for opportunities, don't be shy. So like I emailed the radio station's management going, yo, I was in your campus DJ search. No one knows how to get into broadcasting. Are there spaces? How does it work? And then fortunately something opened up in 2012. I did my first shift, sports presenter, Boxing Day 2012, and then from 2013, 1 April, I was sports presenter on Stan Mars' show, Lunch on Mars, and then
Yeah,
yeah, and then did breakfast radio after those 2 years up until now. And fortunately the station's been they've been fantastic just in supporting the comedy space and the space that I
yeah.
occupy. We had a happy hour for 3 years. That was a I was a comedy show. Myself and Carl Weber hosted that. You were our guest a few times,
Yes,
and
yes,
it was great because we could get local comics on. We could get
yeah.
local comics on from open micers right through until headline acts, and the established comics. Missed the show. It was a great time, a great space. Maybe something comes up again, but
Yeah,
just 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 that the way the paths crossed and the way things happened was fantastic because when you're creative, you don't know how things are going to pan out. And fortunately, I guess the stars were aligned, and
yeah,
I could combine radio and comedy, and anything I do is a vehicle of comedy for comedy. Like I'm still a
yeah.
comedian, you know what I mean?
Mm.
So it must have a positive impact or influence on stand-up comedy, and that's been a great thing to see because again, if my sports bulletins have to be formal and my personality can't come out, then your artistic and creative side just gets shoved away and it dies. So shout out to everybody who's just encouraged me to be myself and who's encouraged every artist to be themselves. I don't want to sound like a philosophical uncle, but it's difficult. No, it's difficult. It's so difficult being an artist in South Africa.
Yeah.
We're a young industry period. We only had freedom post 94 and then we had to build this thing in every space. So
Mm.
it's difficult. You know what I mean? So when people ask what's your advice to people who want to get into the industry, I say don't do it. Don't do it. They're gonna tell you no more than yes. But if you
Yeah,
love it, do it. If you're in it for the right reasons, do it. Because you'll figure out the middle ground and all the tough circumstances, but you have to have hair on your teeth, my bro, because no one owes us anything. And you
yeah.
just got to keep figuring out spaces of how to build and be funny and keep working. Yeah.
That's true, man. Listen, and like with your journey, what are some of the sacrifices you had to make, in order to focus on your journey or just to make sure that you're in the right place so that you're aligned? Can you name some of those sacrifices that was really, really tough for you?
Yeah, for sure. You don't sleep at all. There's no sleep. I'm sleeping as I'm talking to you. I'm permy tired. I just want to sleep, bro. I just want to
Yeah.
sleep. Because with breakfast radio, you're up at like 4:30 every morning. Then you're gigging until 10, 11. You know how it is. The adrenaline rush is extremely high. So you only fall asleep like 12-ish, 1-ish, sometimes 2-ish. And then you have a full day ahead of you as well. And you've got to build and balance all those spaces. So time becomes a big thing that you don't really have the luxury of, as things start picking up and as career growth happens. But that's fine because we get to live our dreams, and it's fine if you're tired and you're living your dream. That's all right. You'll be all right. You'll figure out when to sleep. You know what I mean? So that's the one thing. And then also just like how many weddings I've missed, but oh my word, like birthdays, big celebrations, cause you gotta go work, you've got to be here, you've got to do that, and your friends understand, your family understands, but it's very difficult because you stop getting invites as well. Like you stop getting invited because they know, nah, he's not gonna come. He's gonna cancel. And to my close friends, I'm like, listen here, let me explain this to you in the bigger picture of things. I really want to be there. But this opportunity has been like 5 years in the making. And if I don't
Mm,
do this now, the next thing isn't going to happen. And the next thing is going to happen. This is not just saying that you're going to cancel every possible opportunity that comes up to spend time with friends and family. But there are those big things where you have to go, I genuinely can't make it. This is
yeah,
bread and butter. I'm a freelancer. You have to understand that. It's not like we have regular paychecks or regular
yeah,
income that happens. If we don't work, we don't get paid. And that's the harsh reality. It's a tough reality, but it's the path we've chosen. So I try not to complain because you're fully aware of like all this, the the outcomes, positives and negatives when you get into it. But it's a lot. But make sure your core is strong. You know, your core in your friends and your family and your mentors, just to make sure that you have good, solid opinions, ones
yeah,
of people who celebrate you when you're doing well, people who are there for you when you need to bounce an idea, people who are there for you when things aren't going so like those small things, and just people who don't care about your like even the name of the podcast. My friends were trolling me. They're like, "Me bro, you're not famous." I'm like, I know I'm not famous. I know. I was laughing. I was going, I'm too low profile to be on your podcast, Lunga. Can we just clarify this quickly? So
look,
yeah,
bro, I know you. You
I
people,
wanna wear I wanna wear shorts and sloffies and island shirts. That
yeah,
if you ever people ask me why I wear island shirts all the time. This is when I'm wearing this, I'm happy, my bro. This is comfortable. I'm happy. I got no stresses. So yeah, but you just learn how to sacrifice and go chase the things, man. Just go chase it. Just go chase it. And don't be bang. Just go do it and be fearless and pursue excellence in everything you do. You know? That's the main thing. And just grab every opportunity and trust yourself.
yeah.
Because that's a big thing. Trust yourself, your instincts and everything you do. Yeah.
And you mentioned that you grew up in Retreat, right? And I grew up in Mitchell's Plain. And yes, in our areas, I'm sure Retreat, you can relate to this. Sometimes there's a lot of we exposed to a lot of gangsterism, alcohol abuse, and drug abuse, and all of that.
Yeah.
As a youngster, has that ever been a challenge for you on your journey?
Look, the elements were always there. I think when you grow up in a colored community in general, it's always there. You're very aware of it. Um, you know where you mustn't walk. You know where you must walk. You know if you go there, they're gonna rob you. If you go there, they're not gonna rob you, or they probably will rob you. I got chased a few times. Jay Whitey, what maak Jay Jay Bawatini? I'm like, okay, that's my cute. Start running down the main road. Um,
Yeah,
but we were very aware of these things, and my parents again they didn't shelter us from it, but they also protected us from it. But they also made sure we were street smart. You know what I mean? Like it's small things that there was always freedom to move. So whether or not like grew up at church in Steenberg, so you never feel distant from your community. That's so important. I was chatting to a buddy of mine about it the other day. I'm like, the day you feel distant from your people or your community is the day you must start like just reflecting and going, hey, what's happening here? Like,
yeah,
well, I must never feel unsafe going back home or going back to the areas that I grew up in or going into the flats. Like, it's a normal thing. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It's a normal thing. Because we were just speaking about people who don't positively give shout outs to the areas they grew up in or give shout outs to the communities within Cape Town. But
yeah.
I was sheltered from it. I mean, I'm not saying that it wasn't there and it wasn't present. I was playing cricket all the time. Like
Mm,
I was on the cricket field maybe I was on the cricket field 7 days a week. Like
yeah.
eat, breathe, sleep, cricket. Yes, went to a couple of parties. Yes, we we drank in the park. When you're experimenting as a youth,
as, as a
you
young
know, when you
fella
a
with a
young
buddy.
fella, yeah, you take a walk to the smoky.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what
Dalin,
I mean?
Yeah, and mentally, was there ever like a point where you felt like, because you described that your drive and just how much energy that you need to give in the different parts, comedy and you're working and all of that. Has there ever a time where you felt like you just want to take a break, take a seat back? You felt like you can't do this. You feel like you want to take a gap year, or just feel like you just
Mm.
want to shut down for a moment like that. Have you ever experienced moments like that? And what do you do to bring yourself out of that?
You know what? Now, I don't think a gap year because that might be too long. It might be too. I think I
Yeah.
might lose the plot completely. Yeah, it's a bit too long. We adults,
Yeah,
we can't take gap years now. There's bills to pay. The debit orders will
yeah,
bounce.
yeah,
Please, Lunga. Don't encourage gap years here. Just now my plats came tomorrow and I think a whole gap year. Um,
yeah.
no, yeah, 100%. Those switch off moments are so important. And I have that a lot where I go, oh, it's tough. Got to be up at 4:30 tomorrow. First, headline is at 6. Then we've got this, and then there's a show, and then there's work in the afternoon, and then you like flip. Where can I rest? And then things
Yeah,
start getting busier, and it picks up and it picks up. And again, like I said earlier, my piece is going like this weekend. I was an old man this weekend. It was the best. I went. I was gigging Friday night, but then Saturday I usually go running on a Saturday morning if I can. I didn't go running. I slept in. I woke up at like 12:01, and then I watched TV, and then I went for a walk. I took a drive to Sea Point, caught the sunset, went for a liquor hour walk, and listened to some music. Then Sunday again, slept in. Woke up at like 1 o'clock, bruh. Just slept. I was like, I'm gonna take this weekend off to sleep. Slept, went to my parents for Sunday lunch. I'll still go to Linda and Jerry. If I can on a Sunday. I think we realize, especially with COVID, if any family members are still alive, to spend as much time with them as possible when we can, and not neglect those important relationships.
yes.
So, and then yeah, then I went there, and then I went for another walk. I was going, this is good because I didn't have smart to run, but that's my piece. And then the week started well. And then I was going, this is just that important thing where you take an hour out of your day just to clear your head and clear your mind. So if I could go on a holiday every 3 months, my bro, I would. But you know what that would mean? That would mean so much debt, Lunga. And we
Yeah,
can't afford to we can't afford to have any more debt.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I think those moments are important. Sometimes just to take a weekend off if you can afford to do so, and try not to be on the grind, on the hustle, on the chase all the
Mm,
time, because your health is an important thing.
yeah. Listen, with your comedy, and like you have like a stable job with a radio station, right? And it's consistent. It's probably every morning, right, from Monday to
Yeah,
Friday, or
yeah.
and
Monday to Friday, yeah.
and it basically kind of like works in the same way like a 9 to 5 is in terms of like days off, when you could take days off and all of that. Now, as being a comedian, it's very unpredictable, so you probably have to pull days off at random times. I need a week off now, and has
Yeah.
that ever been like a problem with you, juggling your comedy career with your actual job, having to take
Mm.
time off, having to be different places, because sometimes you can't really stream and do your streaming from where you're moving around,
Yeah.
Has that been a major challenge for you?
Look, again, this is why Good Hope's really been great. They've understood and supported my comedy career from the get go. So even like when I went to the Arts Fest for the first time, I had to take off 2 weeks. No problem. I was involved in a movie. I had to take off for like 4 weeks. No
Yeah,
problem. Now work's picking up. Pre-COVID picks up. They understand that, which has been great. So I've been very fortunate
yeah,
to have bosses who understand the stand-up comedy space within which I exist, and they've given me the freedom to travel. You know what I mean? That's why when I'm at work, I give 10,000%. I must
amazing.
be
Now that,
I must be duck funny. No, but it is. I mean, and I mean that audience is also fed into my stand-up. But like I said earlier, like as a comedian, as an artist, like whatever you choose to do, you just gotta choose. Okay, what am I gonna focus on? So for me, it was going. I'm gonna focus on being a master of my craft. That's stand up, and that's always gonna be number one pursuit. Then I'm going to focus on being a master of my craft in a broadcasting space. That's going to be a pursuit. And then from there, whatever else came in was cool as well. But you don't want to focus on everything and anything because you can't. It's extremely difficult to give your time and energy and proper proper focus to
Yes.
something when you're juggling so many things. So that's why it's also fine to sometimes say no to opportunities where you go, short term, long term, what's the vision over here? Weigh it
Mm.
up. I'm not saying don't do things. I'm saying always look at it with a long term perspective of who, where, what, how. Does it work in my favor? Does it not? But yeah, I've been very fortunate that the radio station has always given me thumbs up and told me go tell jokes to the world, man. Go make the people laugh. So that's been a very, very, very cool thing.
That's so awesome, man. And you're blessed. And I hope that you have this long lasting relationship with him where you can do what you want to do whenever you want to do and still come back and know that you have a secured space where they actually
Thank you.
support that of you. So I hope that you continue with that journey, bro.
Shot, bro.
And speaking of branching out and all of that, and you and I both know, just hitting the circuit is not enough as a comedian if you really want to survive or really want to build your brand or you just want to have some put bread and butter on the table. For up and coming comedians who are out there who believe that they just should hit the stage all the time and hopefully be seen one day, what advice do you have for them to help grow their brand or just become a successful comedian or a hardworking comedian like yourself?
Yeah. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't.
Run!
Don't.
Run!
Don't. Don't. You're gonna cry yourself to sleep. I'm joking. Um, honestly, stage time, bruh. Stage time, and more stage time. There's no value that you can, for me personally, I don't think that you can put on stage time. And with stage time, for me personally, you start figuring out what you want from this thing. And the more
Okay.
you gig and the more you perform, I mean, you still do it as well. We jump on stages for free. It doesn't necessarily have to be paid gigs. You like, I have these thoughts. This is what I want to do. That's what I want to do. And you go perform. And there's magic in that, right? So when you're starting out, a lot of the young comics, sometimes a conversation goes around, how do you start making money or how do you start getting paid? And there's nothing wrong with that, but that mustn't be the seed in your head. The seed must be, I think, how do I become better at my craft? How do I become a better stand-up comedian? How do I perform to more audiences? How do I perform to different audiences? How do I keep writing? How do I keep being relevant? And yes, we live in an age where brand building is a thing, but I don't think you can brand build when at your core you still don't know what you want your main function to be. Like, it took me a while to figure out that I'm a comedian now. I think after like 5 years, it's like, yeah, I feel like a stand-up comedian. I did my first one-man show. I'm like, I feel like a comic. Like I have something to say and value to add and etc. etc. And then from there you can start looking at different things, or I started looking at different things or avenues of exploration within this a comedy space. But just being funny on stage, there's something precious about being able to get up on a stage and make strangers laugh. There's something really magical about that. So get up on stage as much as possible and just chase the funny and figure out who you are and what you want out of this. And that happens in different stages for people. But I think once you realize it, it's quite special. So yeah, stage time for me. Stage time, bruh. That's the only place you're gonna get better. Mentally, emotionally, comedy wise, on stage. And then chill with the comics, talk to them. It's like with cricket, it's the change room, off the field. The magic happens when you're speaking to the experienced cats, like we work in a space where you can start comedy and you can be on the same lineup as Mark Lottering, Stuart Taylor, Conrad Koch, Kurt Skundad, Riyad Musa, Loiso Gola, Nick Rabinovitz. The list goes on. All the first generation cats. And there's magic in that because you can have a conversation with them. Comics are really cool. You can go have a conversation to them. And the growth lies in those conversations because you learn so much when you're off stage. You learn so much when you're off stage. But that only comes with time. Like you don't realize it when you're starting. So like
Yeah.
now, there's a lot of people at Armchair every Wednesdays, and that's so cool because there's magic in that. Gigs are restarting. Comics from all different walks of life, from all different age groups, from all different open mic support, headliner, the established
Yeah.
cats, and you're going, this is good. This is magic. There's magic in this because there's conversations happening in different spaces, in different times, in different spots. And with that conversation comes growth, comes learning and maturity. And for me, that's the special thing because you can't learn that by not being there. And you can only be there by either being on stage or coming to the gigs to try to get stage time. Because I mean, we all want stage time. Give me five. Do you have 5 minutes? Just 5 minutes. Just five.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Get onto stage. Yeah.
Awesome stuff. Listen, we're reaching the end of my interview, and I have to ask you. I've had a lovely time with you. Thank you again for coming out to be a guest on the Price of Fame.
Thank
Truly
you.
enjoyed your time with us. And with my final question is a question that I ask all my guests. I'll put you in this time machine, and I want to dial it back to a time, maybe a younger version of you, or the Dalin that decided, comedy is something I'm going to do. And it's the version of you today, having walked the journey that you've walked, having learned everything, understanding the lessons and all of that, and you have 5 minutes to give some advice to the younger version of you, maybe in a time where you actually needed some guidance and advice. What would you say to the younger version of
The younger version of me. When you turn 30, all your muscles are gonna ache and you're gonna pull your back, your neck, your hamstring every day and every week. I'm joking. To the
you?
I honestly don't know, but I would tell him, boy, keep pursuing whatever you're pursuing with integrity, with sincerity, with honesty, and with dignity, and keep building and valuing those family relationships, those friendships, those work relationships, and the rest will follow. And happiness isn't financial confirmation. Happiness is something that you'll figure out along the way. Sounds so philosophical, but yeah. And don't spend too much time on social media. Like, but I don't even want to sound cheesy. I never complain because, and this is so corny. Like I'm living my dream, but I get to be a creative. Like if you're a creative in South Africa or in the world, you know the fulfillment that you get from doing what you get to do. You know the feeling that there is. Like sometimes people be like, "Oh, you're working hard." You're like, yes, hard work comes with it, but I'm loving every second of it. Like
Mhm.
I genuinely love some of my friends still don't understand. They're like, so you go to OBS to do 10 minutes of free comedy that they don't pay you. I'm like, yeah, it's the best. It's the best. And I will do
Yeah.
20 minutes and 30 minutes if I could. It's the best. In 5 minutes, anything. So I I'm blessed beyond measure and I'm just grateful that I get to meet so many unique people from all walks of life and see so
Mm.
many awesome places because of my career. I'd never have seen half the places that I've seen if I wasn't a stand-up comedian. Not a chance. Not
Yeah.
a chance, bruh. Not a
Yeah.
chance. So I've got no complaints at all. I just want the petrol price to decrease. I want ESCOM to work, you know. But
Yeah.
bruh, I can't complain. And to 5-year-old Dalin, just say everything's gonna be all right. Don't worry. Yeah, yeah. Bad
Awesome.
advice. I
Love
know.
that.
I know. Sorry, man.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Awesome. You must actually show the younger version of you, the lockdown version of you with the hair. We
My
had the
bro,
hey Darren,
my
this is gonna be you at one point.
bruh. Plus, my bro, I grew into my ears and I grew into my nose and I grew into my looks. Like I looked, I was an odd lighty and I still had acne. Eh? So
Yeah.
yeah, it was just a fruitcake in a bowl of a puberty mess, just of a person there. And yeah, but that
Wow.
honestly, no, honestly, I know you got to leave, but like That's why I grew my hair and my mustache during lockdown.
Okay.
As philosophical as it sounds, like I think especially with social media, we're chasing affirmation from strangers, from people so much. Then I was like, listen here, man, I'm gonna grow my hair and my mustache, and I want you guys. I don't mind if you roast me. I don't mind if you insult me, but I just want you to know that it's fine being comfortable with who you are, and it's fine being comfortable with the space within which you exist. You wake up in the morning, none of your people who follow you on social media are there, none of your press are there. It's you and your partner and whoever facing the
Yeah.
world each and every day. So if you can be fine and confident with yourself, that's the most important thing, bruh. Like no one no one must be able to attack your sacred space with
Mm.
words, with negative thoughts. You just gotta be like, yeah, it's words. It's fine. I know who I am, and I'm content with that, and that's most important. So that was the experiment. Also, I also wanted to see how cruise my hair really is. So it was beneficial to all.
Like, Dalin, thank you so much for coming through. And once again, I truly enjoyed, learning about you. I've learned so much and learned about so many things that I haven't known. And we've known each other for such a long time. But of course, we've never had these kind of conversations before. So
Hundreds.
thank you so much for sharing, man. And truly, truly, like I said, I only wish the best for you. May you get more opportunities. May you grow more. And may you maintain this job that allows you to grow and come back to something stable. Is there
Thank you.
anything is there anything that you feel that I may have left out in this interview that you would have loved to share this evening, or any shout outs or something like that?
No, no, you've done a great job. You are almost attacked myself with a mic there. Like, hey. Um, no, you've done a great job, bro. Well done on this podcast. To be able to commit to something like this is very tough.
Yeah.
And I've seen you doing these things, and I'm like, well done. It's great seeing people. I love seeing people figure out spaces within which they exist, spaces
Yeah.
that they enjoy, and spaces within which they can thrive. It's a really cool thing to see because we've been in the industry for a while now, not long, but for a while enough to see people start and stop, and newcomers come
Yeah.
and go. People attain great success and happiness. But for me, it's nice seeing people find their voices. So well done to you on that, because there's so much on offer. You know, you just gotta streamline the focus and see what you want out of it. And to see you do this, and to see you grow as a performer. I saw you at Raw about a month ago, and for the viewers out there, you can't see it now, but this man, he got biceps in his neck, my bro. He's just gebou. This man is just gebou. One hand push-ups, bro. I don't know where all this muscle came. While I was growing my hair and mustache, you were just growing biceps, bro.
Yeah.
I was like, this is this. How do you hold the mic like this now? Do you just go like,
Ladies and gentlemen,
yeah,
flex all the time.
flex, son.
Dylan, thank you so much, brother, man. I look forward to sharing the stage with you again. And like I said, I wish all the best for you. And may you just, if you've done amazing things this year, let it be not even the beginning of what's left to come for you to still achieve and accomplish this year, bro. Yeah, that's it from me, bro. Thank you so much. May you have a lovely time. I don't know who you're spending your evening with, but may you go back to your life.
I can literally point to the couch over there that I'm gonna go lay on now on my own,
Yeah.
and I've got vegetables in the pot. I'm eating veggies and feta cheese, trying to eat
Yeah.
healthier. You must
Are
you
you
must
are
know,
you
man.
are you a
Hey,
pet person? Do you like pets?
I don't have any pets. One day,
Uh,
I can't get something I need to look after if I can't look after myself yet. You know?
yes. You want to do
Yeah,
that. You want to do that first. All right, Dalen,
yeah.
thank you so much, brother. May you have a lovely night further. See you soon on the stage. If
I
not on
will.
stage, big screen.
Thanks, Lunga. Keep doing amazing things. Thanks for having me as your guest. Cheers, bro.
Thank you, bro. Good night. Yep, that's it from Dalen Oliver, ladies and gentlemen. A really good friend of mine, and as you can hear, is a very hardworking and is such a lovely guy to spend some time with. And I really enjoyed myself spending time with him tonight. So, for those of you who still don't know about our streaming platforms that we've extended our streaming for your streaming pleasures, you can find us now at the price of fame I was going to say Instagram. You can find us at Apple. Spotify, and Anchor FM. And when you're at Anchor FM, please use the send us a voice note feature where you can send us a voice note. Let us know what you think about the show. If you just want to send a shout out or just want to be heard, we'll play it onto the show. So holla at your boy. If you haven't followed me just yet on my Facebook, why am I fumbling my words? If you haven't followed me yet on my Facebook, please check me out at Lunga Tshuka, the Energizer Funny. That is Lunga Tshuka, the Energizer Funny. And on Instagram, you can find me at Lunga Tshuka. If you're looking for exclusive snippets of the Price of Fame, you can also go on to Instagram. That is the Price of Fame ZA. That is at the Price of Fame ZA. You find all the snippets of season 1 as well as season 2 of the Price of Fame. And then the link is in the bio for my YouTube channel where you find all the extended episodes from season 1 up until season 2. And when you're at YouTube, you know what to do. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much, ladies and gents, for always tuning in to the Price of Fame. I see you, all of those who keep supporting. I appreciate you so much. You keep the lights on. My name is Lunga Tshuka. I've been your host. This is the Price of Fame.